just went all the way from one end of the fretboard to the other in one fell swoop. I'm going to be showing you the coolest way to play minor scales on the guitar. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, as you may know, there are 3 different minor scales that you should know in order to fully understand the minor scales. And those are natural minor, harmonic minor, and melodic minor. Now, we're not going to get super into all the differences between these and the situations to use them in, because this is a little bit beyond the scope of the lesson, but we're just going to figure out the coolest way to play them. So let's start with C natural minor, okay? So the idea in the coolest way to play this is we want to figure out how to go all the way from the bottom of the guitar fretboard all the way to the top of the guitar fretboard using one scale shape. So in order to do this, we're going to take a look at the notes that are in the key in this scale, and we're going to find what is the lowest possible note that I can play on the guitar that belongs in the key. Let's look at the notes in a natural minor scale. We have C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and B flat. Again, this is C natural minor, okay? You could do this in other keys. I'm just showing you the process. It's going to be up to you to do this in other keys. So the lowest possible note that is found in the C natural minor scale that we can find on the guitar is actually this F note here on the 1st fret of the 6th string. Now, we can't play E flat because, well, the lowest possible note we can play in the guitar is E, and E flat's even lower than that. So we have to actually start with this F note here. Now, how we're going to construct the pattern is very simple. We're going to play 4 notes per string. Okay, so we're going to start on F, and we're going to go up a note, up a note, up a note, until we have 4 notes on this string. And then once we have 4 notes in the string, we're going to move to the next string and continue adding notes from there. So we're going to have on the 6th string F, G, A flat, and B flat. Those are starting from the lowest possible note that I can find in the guitar that's in the key. Those are 4 notes on that string. So now the next note in the key is going to actually just circle back around. We're on B flat, which is the flat 7. By the way, natural minor has 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So you got to pay attention to that. If you ever play a major key, you can lower the 3rd, 6th, and 7th, and that turns into natural minor. So now we're going to go from B flat to C on the 5th string. There you go. There's a C note. And then we're going to rinse and repeat that exact same process. So we're going to go up to D, E flat, and then F. Now let's go to the next string. So the next note after F is going to be G, and that's going to be right here. So G, A flat, B flat, and then C. Now let's keep going. The next note's going to be D, but we got to change strings, and D is going to be right there. So D, E flat, F, G. Now let's switch strings again. We got 4 notes in that string. So we're going to G. A flat is going to be the first note on the 2nd string. So A flat, B flat, C, and then D. And then we're on the last string. We're going to have E flat, F, G, and then A flat. And if you wanted to, of course, as well, for soloing purposes, you can go even higher than that. However high your guitar neck goes, I oftentimes will go, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, and D is actually the highest possible note I can play on my guitar. So I like to sort of extend sometimes that 4 note per string scale just so that I get the entire range of the guitar. So there you go. There is our scale shape. So let's go ahead and play through this 4 note per string scale shape, and I'll give you a couple tips on how to play through it. So we have F, G, A flat, and B flat, then C, D, E flat, F, then G, A flat, B flat, C, then D, E flat, F, G, then A flat, B flat, C, D, and then E flat, F, G, A flat. Okay, so Make sure you practice that. Now, how physically are we going to play this? So first of all, if we're just playing the scale up and down, which you should only do just for learning it, the purposes of that, but once we're actually going to like improvise with it, well, you're not going to start on the first note, okay? You're not going to play all the notes in order. So sometimes I find it silly when people are, constantly worried about like, oh, what note am I starting on in the beginning of the pattern? I don't really give a crap what note the pattern starts on because I'm just going to use the whole thing for soloing. I might start in the middle or I might start at the top or whatever. It doesn't really matter what the first note is, and I'm going to tell you why in a second, because I know some of you are going to disagree with that. So, first of all, if we're going to play through the scale pattern, one cool way to do it is to shift over your first finger and then use your other fingers for the last two notes. So the first two notes get played with your first finger, and then either your second or your fourth or whatever finger happens to fit that pattern on that individual string. There's a C, D, E flat, F on the fifth string, and then G, A flat, E flat, C. So this one I play with the first finger sliding up, and then the second, and then the fourth. So there's that way you could play through the whole scale like that, sliding the first finger or just otherwise moving the first finger. Or the opposite. So you could slide up the pinky or whatever is the last finger. It's probably going to be the pinky when you're playing this. So F, G, A flat with the pinky, then move the pinky up. So there's always a couple of options with these 4-note per string scale patterns. So make sure you mess with different ways of playing through each of these. And then, of course, the opposite would be true on the way back down. Again, if you're playing it in order, which if you're playing a good solo, you shouldn't really be playing it, in order anyway. You should be skipping around different notes, and any sort of combination you happen to improvise is going to require different fingerings, right? But you could slide down with the first finger now, like we did before, or slide down with the pinky. So those are just a good couple of starting points for playing through each of these patterns. So now with that being said, just really quickly, let's cover harmonic minor and let's cover melodic minor, because sometimes these can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So the only difference between harmonic minor and natural minor is that it has a B natural, you see here, is a B natural in it instead of the B flat. So that means if we take this exact same pattern and we just move all of the B flats up to B natural, now we actually have a harmonic minor scale. And that's it, actually. There's only 3 of them. So now we have F, G, A flat, and B. So sometimes with these in particular, I will say that I won't strictly, like for soloing purposes, I won't strictly stick to the 4-note per string pattern, but it's still good to know. Like I would probably play this B over here, to just be honest, like, and then kind of, make this mishmash where sometimes I'm playing 3 notes on a string and sometimes I'm playing 5 notes on a string, literally. That's freaking awesome to do as well, but it's still worth practicing the harmonic minor scale like this, just because it's going to increase your knowledge that much more. And then what's a little bit more practical is the melodic minor scale. So now the only difference between melodic minor and harmonic minor is that it has an A natural. It also still has the B natural. It has an A natural instead of the A flat in it. So the difference between all these minor scales, guys, is literally just in the 6th and the 7th, okay? Natural minor has both flat 6 and flat 7. Harmonic minor only has flat 6, but has natural 7. And then the melodic minor has natural 6 and natural 7. So if I take all of the A flats in this now, and move those up a half step, now all of a sudden, I actually have a C melodic minor pattern. So we can play through that one as well. And you'll notice that this is very, very similar to the major scale because it's literally only one note away from an actual C major scale, which would have E natural instead of E flat. So that would be our melodic minor scale. Now, let's actually go back to natural minor for a second here. And I want to talk about a concern that a lot of people had on my last video that was really actually annoying me, just because so many people like thought they're somehow better than me or thought they're teaching me something about modes, okay? Okay, so some of you might sit here and say, hey man, wait a second. We're playing the C natural minor scale, but we're starting on an F note, so that means it's not C natural minor. That means it's F Dorian, right? Because the C natural minor scale actually is the relative minor of E flat. So technically it's actually a mode of E flat major, right? And then you say, oh, well, since it's actually starting from an F, well, that makes mean it's just F Dorian. That's actually what this technically is if I start it from F. Now, first of all, we got to talk about this. Modes are not about what scale you're playing and starting the note from, like just playing a scale up and down, okay? Modes are about the sound of each note compared to a bass note, okay? So modes need context to them. So now I'm gonna show you something. We're gonna play over a C bass note, and I'm gonna play all these notes, and it's gonna sound like C minor because I'm gonna play over track that has a C bass note in it. Okay, so it doesn't matter that I'm starting here, whatever, on F, because number one, I'll solo a little bit with it, and I ain't gonna start on F. Okay, I'm not gonna start on F. I'm not gonna be silly and just play the scale up and down, right? That's what most people complain about, their solos sound like scales. Well, I'm not gonna play like that, okay? So that's number one. Number two, there's not going to be an F note in the bass. So we're gonna actually play with a C bass note, and then we're actually gonna play with a couple different bass notes, and you see how the bass note is actually what makes the sound of a mode, not just me sitting here playing a scale, okay? It's about the relationship of the notes that you're playing to the chord that's happening in the song that you happen to be playing on. So here we got a C bass note underneath, okay? So now let's play these notes. I will play them like a scale first, but then I'll solo a little bit with it. So let's see what it sounds like. Does that sound like F Dorian? No, because there's no F in the bass, okay? And now if I say, hey, let me improv a little bit with the scale pattern, I'm gonna start anywhere. I'm gonna start in the middle of the scale pattern. I'm not gonna even play it as a scale. I'm gonna double up some notes. I'm gonna try to mess around with it, be creative. It is not about the fact that the scale pattern starts on F, guys. Come on. You, don't argue with me on this. This is just, this is a ridiculous point, okay? So now I will further demonstrate it to you a little bit more. So now we're going to play with E flat in the bass. And now you're going to see, actually, it's going to sound like I'm just playing E flat major scale because there's an E flat in the bass. And So look, if I play, E flat major chord over this. Mind you, this is all with the same scale pattern. I'm really trying to strictly stick to that scale pattern. See, now it sounds totally different. Not because I changed the scale pattern, not because I started on a different note or whatever. Now it's no, it's the same exact pattern, same exact everything. It's the context. It's the bass note. That is the thing that most people don't understand about modes. So make sure, I know that this is a little bit of a digression from the whole point of the video, which is just to play the minor scales, but make sure that you practice all these and make sure that you practice them in different keys as well. So what's the process? The process is know what the notes are in the scale that you're trying to find the lowest possible note that you can on the guitar, and then build from there 4 notes per string. So if you want to learn every single fundamental that you need to know on the guitar fretboard in order to master the guitar fretboard and be able to play a great sounding solo in no matter what key or what chord progression it's in, make sure you head on over to Jamsville.com right now and check out the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. This is going to be the best course that you've ever taken, and once you're done taking it, you are not going to have any more holes in your fretboard knowledge when it comes to knowing how to find the notes in a key and find them every single place in the fretboard, or find any chord that you want all over the entire guitar fretboard. I can't say enough about how valuable this course is, and on top of that, it's less than the price of like one guitar lesson with basically any teacher. So it's 100% a no-brainer. Head on over to Jamsville.com right now and check it out. Also, make sure you check out my other video, the coolest way to play the pentatonic scale on the guitar, which I'm going to put right here, if you want to learn the coolest way to play the pentatonic scale. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and hit the thumbs up button. And as always, until next time, listen, learn, and jam.